va kayajam karmajam va shravananayanajam va manasam va paradham vihitam avihitam va sarvametat shamasva jaya jaya karunabdhe jaya jaya karunabdhe Am Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Namaskaram, namaskaram to everyone. It's a great honor to be here with the brave men and women who keep us safe in this country. I consider this a great privilege to be with all of you.
First and foremost, a great privilege and honor to have you here with us, sir. Sir, your life has really mesmerized millions. The collage is so colorful. And we would like to know more about it, sir. Especially the influence of Adi Yoga in shaping your entire being towards becoming an enlightened yogi.
I was least spiritual by any standards. I should be the last person to turn spiritual, that's how I was. Because anything that did not make logical sense to me, I rejected. As I rejected, only thing that was left was anger and frustration about many things in the world. So wherever I thought was injustice, I raged within myself. So at that time it looked like that's the outlet. But this is something I would like to bring to everybody's notice, that spiritual process does not mean looking up or looking down. It's about turning inward. Turning inward happened because I did not find any answers anywhere around me. I had a billion questions for which I had no answers, and nobody around me had any answers. Everybody had ready-made answers, but nobody had genuine answers. So, I spent almost all my time with my questions, sharpening my questions, deepening my questions. As the questions became sharper, it became more and more painful because it went deeper into me but there were no answers anywhere. I've never been any kind of a… Even at the age of 5, I refused to go to temples. I've never been a religious person. Till now, I've never prayed in my life. But somehow, Adiyogi became a part of my breath. I don't know when it happened. It just became so much a part of my breath and my being. Things opened up like in ways that you won't imagine possible. Many lifetimes of memory flooded me, and I'm not a devotee of Shiva, but he's become my breath, I can't help it. I didn't invite him, he came uninvited for me. So
सतगुरु प्रणाम। सतगुरु, देश के वर्तमान हालात में सुरक्षा को देखते हुए हमारे अधिकारियों व जवानों पर लगातार कठोर ड्यूटी करते रहने का मानसिक दबाव है। सतगुरु जी, कृपया आप हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें कि कैसे हम तनावमुक्त और संतुलित रहकर अपनी ड्यूटी और साथ में अपने परिवार की जिम्मेदारियों का सफलतापूर्वक निर्वहन कर सकें।
Basically,
How to be balanced in this
Balance, basically the balance between
extreme
the
conditions
tough task
and family.
isolation that they face at the border and the commitment at families. I mean, the balance, how do they achieve? Because there are a lot of stress going on because of these aspects.
When I say this, in the running of a nation, usually most nations, unless they were broken up by somebody else, most ancient nations are formed on the basis of geographical features. But we broke up in a hurry and we put lines which are very difficult to guard. And above all, we cut off trade routes which we have been using for thousands of years. We've been trading with Damascus, Jerusalem, Greece, Rome for thousands of years through these routes, and we cut that off on the western border. And the eastern routes have been on forever. We cut that off on the eastern border and we made a nation. Somewhere we were too excited about the idea of freedom, not really looking at the making of a nation. This is like, is it okay? It's a serious business, but can I tell you a joke?
Yeah, please.
Because in the forces, one thing that can sustain you on the border is that you tell each other some jokes. This happened. A pirate walked into an Irish pub. He had one wooden leg and a hook for a hand and an eye patch, classic pirate. When he walked in and ordered his drink, the bartender looked at him and asked, "What happened? Last time when you came you were fine, what happened to your leg?" He said, "Oh, Her Majesty's cannonball took away my leg. And no problem, my carpenter on board fixed up a wooden leg and it's doing quite fine." Then after he had one drink, he asked, "What happened to your hand?" He said, these Caribbean pirates, they're fools. When we were fighting, they hit my hand instead of the sword and I lost my hand. But no problem, our blacksmiths fixed up a nice hook and it works better than my hand." Then he asked, "What happened to your eye?" He said, "I was just looking up at the stars and the bird poo fell in my eyes." He said, "The bird poo won't take off your eyeball." He said, "Yes, I know, but I was new to the hook." So, we were new to freedom and we cut ourselves into pieces without understanding what future problems we will have, which unfortunately both the political entities, our neighbor and us, are suffering because we did not understand the making of a nation. We only thought freedom means hoisting a flag and singing a song. To protect a free nation, what it takes, to make a free nation prosper, what it takes, we did not look at it in full depth and dimension. I'm not trying to blame anybody. All I'm saying is, we were new and we were in a hurry. We did things in a way for which today you have to guard a border which has no geographical feature as such, simply a plain land. It's like two properties. So in many ways, the troubles of our armed forces are related to this, the kind of terrains we have placed them in without reason, in plain open land sometimes. So as your commander was saying, you are in minus 15 degrees centigrade and 52 degrees centigrade in Rajasthan, extreme conditions. Apart from that, staying away from families. This staying away from families, in the past, it was not so much of a problem because almost any man who was active either in business or in anything stayed away from families for long periods of time. But today, because of cell phone and Facebook and Twitter, you're guarding the border with your family right behind you, which is tough. They've come very close to the border, your family, which is tough. Because when you're doing certain type of jobs, not only soldiering, when you're doing certain type of jobs, your women and children should not be around you. You cannot do that job well. It will bring so much concern and fear that you cannot do the job well. But this is the modern life, that they're everywhere. Every 5 minutes they can call you. So, there are issues like this is the trouble of the modern times, but at the same time, it is also a solace for the families that they can be in touch with you. But I can imagine what will happen to the families and to you. Suppose there is some kind of action, at that time, if you turn on your cell phone and let them hear the gunfire, this is going to be a disaster. I really don't have a solution for that. But we can teach you something, all the forces, where keeping your calm, keeping your chemical balance in the system, I'm not talking about even mental balance, more fundamental, keeping your chemistry in balance so that you can handle these things is possibility. But for this modern day communications, I would say excessive communication, not just for the soldiers, for everybody too much of communication is a bit of an issue, but we have to learn to deal with it. But I feel this is first generation of soldiers having this level of communication. Maybe in another 5–10 years they will learn to handle it, because you can't cut it off.
सद्गुरु, हमने कई पुस्तकों में और आपके कई उद्बोधन में, भाषण में हमने ये सुना है कि आपने मृत्यु के बारे में बहुत चर्चाएं की हैं और आपने मृत्यु को अनुभव किया है। एक बॉर्डरमैन होने के नाते हम भी बॉर्डर पे,
हम अभी जिंदा हैं,
हम भी बॉर्डर पे हर पल मृत्यु से रूबरू होते हैं। आप हमें इस बारे में बताएं कि इनमें क्या समानताएं हैं, क्या भिन्नताएं हैं।
This is a sensitive issue because the men and women on the borders are sticking their life out every day. We bow down to them for their services to the country. All of us are well and doing what we have to do only because you are doing what you have to do, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do what we are doing. Death is a constant companion for everybody. I'm not trying to belittle this, but a soldier is more conscious of this than anybody else. Most other people believe generally that other people die. They never think they die. But a soldier knows he or she can die any moment. So that awareness makes the job very different from almost anything else that we can do. We must understand this, that in this country, one of the greatest teachings that have happened in this country, I'm not an expert on this, but one of the greatest teachings but is hugely recognized in India and across the planet by many learned people is the Gita. You must understand, Krishna chose to give the teaching in the battlefield. He could have done it. 12–13 years they were in the jungle, peaceful jungles. He could have given the teaching there, they could have set up an ashram and given a teaching, but he chose battlefield because a human being never realizes the nature of who or she is unless mortality is hanging in their face. The reason why I'm constantly talking about death, I refer to people's death, but then it becomes very oppressive if I keep on talking about their death, so I keep talking about my death. To a point where recently somebody asked, is Sadhguru healthy? Is something wrong with his health? Nothing wrong with my health. But you may be healthy, but you still die. You may be young, you may still die. You may be fit, but you still die. Only when you're conscious of your mortality, exploring the nature of my existence becomes a natural aspiration. What is beyond this body? I'm not trying to belittle the situation of the Jawans and the officers who work on the borders, facing extreme situations and danger and death in real time, not as a concept, real time. I'm not trying to in any way belittle that, but I'm saying this is also a tremendous place where one to turn inward, because it is natural for a human being, when you are conscious of death, you want to know what is beyond this body. And that longing is called spiritual process. So when I say death, if you allow me, I'll share a little bit of experience that I had with somebody else. When I was just maybe 2.5 or 3 years of age, for some reason my mother was not well and they left me with my aunt for about nearly 2 years, I think, close to 2 years. She was only 19 years of age, she was already married. She was a very joyful and loving human being, exuberant person. She took me as her own and she showered immense love upon me. Above all, she was a very joyful, playful young woman. I developed a certain bond with her. I was with her less than 2 years, then I left. But we always maintained that friendship and relationship, not as an aunt, more as a friend. And her life went as per the script, nothing, no major aberrations. 2 children, daughter got married as they want, son went to America, grandchildren are cute, everything as she thought is her life. But then some ailment came and she knew she's going to die. The last 2 years of her life, she became so disturbed because she couldn't handle death. She was such a wonderful human being all her life, so joyful, so loving, but now she became like this. When I looked at this, I just saw the only problem is this: because your experience of life is just limited to your physiology and your psychology, your thought and emotion and your body. Now you know you're going to lose all of it and you can't handle it, because what do I do next? Because you don't even know whether you'll exist or not exist. When this happened, I just helplessly watched her going through this because I was traveling so extensively. And I thought, this is a commitment from me that every human being should have at least 1 drop of spirituality. We aimed at Tamil Nadu and we call this Urusottu Anmikam. That means 1 drop spirituality for everybody. It doesn't matter what is your gender, caste, creed, religion. Everybody must have 1 little spot within themselves which is beyond their body, which is beyond their mind. If this comes into their experience, when the time comes, either in natural ways or in unnatural ways, when time comes to shed this body, you will do this very gracefully. For every human being, I'm not just saying for a soldier, for every human being it will come. You don't know when it will come. But if you had an experience beyond this body, beyond this mind, your ability to handle this aspect of life would be incredibly better than the way it is right now. especially in a profession where unfortunately still we live in a world where armies are a must. You cannot live in this world without security forces. We've still not come to that level of consciousness where the entire world can embrace each other and live. That is not a reality, that'll be a joke right now. So we need this, and we are putting our own men and women to risk to see that the rest of the nation lives well. And this is one thing we have to do in the country. Every citizen who lives in this country must be made to understand that today we go to our office and come back, today our children go to school and come back, today we are doing whatever we wish to do in this country only because certain number of men and women are standing guard and taking care of this. Otherwise, you must look back at medieval times when raiders came and raped and looted and did what they did in the past. And the same will happen even today. World has not changed in that sense. The same will happen today probably in worse forms than before because they're better equipped than ever before. So, it is very important in this country, every citizen understands that we owe this to the soldiers, we owe this to the defense forces, we owe this to variety of security forces who are providing this to us. But I think in the making of our nation, we have forgotten to instill this in every citizen's minds and hearts. We still it is funny that this is still from the British era, this is the hangover. Even today, an average citizen, when he sees a policeman, he fears. He doesn't feel comfortable. If police are there, you must feel safe. But instead, most citizens in India, if police are there, they're afraid. What will they do to me? Because this comes from the British era. If you see the khaki uniform, they're going to beat you, they're going to arrest you, they're going to do something to you. Still that mentality is there in the country, which from both ends we have to work to change this, and a new level of pride has to be built in for the sacrifices that are being done. It is beginning to happen, but it must happen much more rapidly. It must be built into our youth especially.
Thank you.
गुरु जी को सादर नमस्ते। गुरु जी, जैसा कि हम सभी जानते हैं, वर्तमान समय में हमारे सभ्य समाज में और सुरक्षा बल में महिलाएं अपने पुरुष कर्मियों के साथ एक समान रूप से अपने कर्तव्यों का निर्वहन कर रही हैं। इसके बावजूद भी हमारा समाज महिलाओं को अपने समक्ष स्वीकार नहीं कर रहा है। गुरु जी, कृपया इस संबंध में मन स्थिति हेतु परिवर्तन हेतु हमारे समाज के समस्त समुदाय, अभिभावक व माता पिता का मार्गदर्शन करें। धन्यवाद।
The last part of the question,
Yeah.
first I understand.
She wants… you understood the first part, sir. Basically, how to change the mindset of men in the society.
Instead of parents, she was saying.
Parents included, because parents also do not accept in the same way their girl, daughters or anybody doing the same amount of work with same fervor. So how to bring this change in mindset in the masses, in the society, and including in the armed forces?
It's wonderful to see a young woman like you in the forces and being posted on the border. It's a pride moment to sit here with you. See, there are many aspects to this. I will not go into all the cultural aspects which rule this. They are very much there. But the most important aspect is the economic aspect. This women being treated badly is very much there no denying. But this is mainly due to economic reasons, not for gender reasons, most of the time. It is not a question of women. In this country, whoever cannot defend themselves, they are always treated badly, man or woman or child. It's not just women. With women, of course, there's a different kind of focus because of sexuality and gender difference. But beyond that, the discrimination is mostly due to economic reasons. Parents have come to understand that a girl child is a burden because she won't earn, you have to get her married, you have to pay a dowry, all these things are there in people's minds, which is changing rapidly, but much more needs to happen. Instead of giving speeches on it, instead of going protesting on the street, all these things won't produce results, they will only produce more problems. What is needed is education and skill and training for the women. On the war footing, this must happen across the country. Once they are skillful in what they are doing, they're capable of doing what is given to them, they are well educated or they're trained for something which is useful in the society, this will naturally go. Instead of raising movements on the street, protesting, doing this and that, this will only do media photo ops, it will not change the social situation. Empowerment will happen only with education, skill, capability, capacity building among the women. All this is fine. At the same time, women have another great responsibility of nurturing the next generation of people. We can say what we want, but we wouldn't exist here without our mothers, as simple as that. So maybe my mother did not walk on the border like you as a soldier, but I am sitting here because of her. There's no question in anybody's mind about that, isn't it? But in the workplace, these differences, various types of abuses, these are very much there because I think for Indian men, this is the first generation they are seeing women out on the street, in the office place, in close proximity. They're not used to this. I am not trying to defend them. I am only trying to say, we have a problem, we better face it. If we do not understand the nature of the problem, we cannot solve it either. The reason why men are behaving the way they are behaving when they see a young girl on the street or whatever is, there are many things to this. One thing is, see, there is a natural hormonal draw between a man and a woman. People can close their eyes to it, but they cannot erase it, it is there. Between the ages of 14 to 25 or 30, it is maximum, this hormonal impact. There was a time when most girls were married at 14, 15 years of age, and men were married by the time were they're 17, 18 years of age. Today, on an average, I believe most women are getting married at the age of 21, men are getting married at the age of 25 or 26. And in the educated classes, it's going much further, because by the time the girl finishes education, she is 21, 22. So when you look at this, we have our moral codes where there is no such thing as premarital engagement between the two genders. But now there is no marriage either, and many of them have moved out of their natural habitat. If they lived in their villages, among their communities, they would get them married. So this is a debate nation has to face, very difficult for the older generation to face this. The younger generation should take up the debate. Are we ready to get married at 15? No, that's not going to come back again. Are we ready for premarital engagement between the genders? We must really debate this. Otherwise, you are living in an unnatural condition. You have young men and women loaded with hormones, and you expect them to all behave like saints and sages, it's not going to work. Each time we face this in the country, we are a society in transition. Either we transit gracefully if we look at it with certain openness, or we will transit in ugly ways and take a long time. So, this is a debate that nation has to address. The so-called civil society has to address this. What are we going to do with our youth? How are we going to handle their needs? Are we ready for this, or are we going to just close our eyes and wait for disasters to happen? We have to address this. So, women getting a rightful place will naturally happen with large-scale education and skill for the ladies and girl child, which is happening, but we still feel it's not fast enough.
Before we open the house for question, I was very small. It is believed that you wanted to join army? So what happened? From becoming a Fauji, you became a yogi?
There was… when I was 14, I joined a mountaineering club called Deccan Mountaineering Club in Mysore. So, I started climbing the local hills and mountains and rocks. Then there was one Colonel Kumar, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Kumar.
Yes. He climbed Kanchenjunga and many other exploits. I met him and I knew people who knew him and we heard a lot of stories. So, I thought if I joined the army, I could climb any mountain that I want. So, I was about to join the NDA, but I went through my examinations, but I did not go through the… yeah. So, you must be glad that I didn't become a Fauji.
You would have had an excellent journal maybe. The floor is open. Anybody wants to ask a question, please.
Hello.
Pranam, my name is Ashok, and my question is, in the beginning you mentioned that we can bring chemical balance, if not the mental balance, through intellectual and spiritual education. I would just like to mention that years ago I heard one of your discourse in Satya Sai International Auditorium, where you gave an example of a guru and a donkey. That was regarding how to develop an appetite for the knowledge. Now here also, if we have to give this intellectual and spiritual education to our troops, and we want them that they should digest it and they should have an appetite for it. So what is the recipe or a formula so that we develop that appetite in them, they get it and they come to that chemical balance which we expect that should come to them. Thank you, sir.
This appetite or lack of appetite is not only in the forces. Actually, the civilian population has many more distractions than the forces. So, how do you bring appetite in the larger public? The only way it will happen is somebody that you know goes through a dramatic transformation. Now when you see a very positive transformation, you will want to be like that. This movement that we are now calling as Isha or Inner engineering programs has gone around the world. There are various means that we are propagating today, but for the first 21 years of my life, of my work, as a rule, I never appeared in the media, never printed a brochure, never put up a banner anywhere. Only by word of mouth, millions of people came. Because once it transformed you, you made sure your friends and family come. This is a very difficult process in the society because your friends and family are not always available to you to talk to. But in the forces, if 10 people transform in a battalion or even 2 people, you will see everybody else will want it very quickly. So, spreading this among the forces will be much, much simpler than spreading it among the civilian populations, because civilian populations have too many distractions. In the forces, they will instantly recognize the value of that and it will happen. We will offer it to you, a few hundred people, if they go through, you will see it'll spread like wildfire.
Pranam Guruji, I am Srinivasan. Everybody is aware that there is now a debate on tolerance and intolerance. Now, in the concept of intolerance is growing, mostly among the public who are well educated, that too in prime institutions, many of the top institutions. I never find the concept or debate of tolerance, intolerance among the lot like BSF who are facing more toughness in the life, more controversies and more difficulties. Is the education cause for this varied perception of concept, this tolerance, intolerance, or is the education is wrong?
Do not mistake me, but there is a lot of people whose profession is to create a debate. Okay? It's their livelihood. So every day a new debate is needed in the country and it goes on and on and on. You don't see… only if you're watching every day the news channels or you are on Facebook or Twitter, you think there is something happening. If you walk on the street, you will not see anything like that. If you walk into the villages in this country, you will not see anything like that. It is only on the television screen that enormous intolerance is happening. So, we must get used to this media and social media, because media is one thing, at least their face is visible. Social media is anonymous media. Anonymous media is always the most irresponsible media. But it has its benefits, I'm not trying to debunk everything. So, as citizens of this nation, we must get used to 200 channels, all of them are 24/7 channels. They need something to talk about, and social media, everybody wants to, there are WhatsApp security experts, there are WhatsApp economists, there are WhatsApp social scientists, so they're all full on. We must learn to draw a margin and what should be taken seriously, what should be kept aside. We don't have to react to every bit of it, because those who are in responsible positions in the country or those who have mass contact with people know nothing like that is happening. I have a mass contact with people, I don't see any intolerance or sudden rise of something happening, nothing like that. We are see, in a country of 1.25 billion people, we must understand we are the least policed country on the planet. For 1.5 billion people, the number of police that we have per capita or whatever you call it is very, very minimal. In spite of that, I would say crime rate is extremely low. See, people keep asking me this, Sadhguru, you say India has had such a spiritual, glorious history and everything, but why there is so much poverty, why people are like this, corruption, this, that? I give them a simple example. You come to where we are in southern India, in Tamil Nadu. Where we are, about 12 kilometers away from our yoga center, there is a police station. There used to be only 8, but these days there are 12 policemen. Out of this, one SI, one ASI and rest are constables. Out of this, two of them will be always on leave, something. Night, there'll be only 2 men in the police station. If you say a murder has happened, they will say, can you come and pick me up, because they don't have transport, okay? I'm saying they're managing nearly a 250,000 population, but still there is no crime, absolutely no crime. People are living in very basic conditions, but they're not killing anybody, they're not doing anything. It's very rare, sometimes some property dispute, this, that, once in a way. Otherwise, there is no murder, there is no robbery, there is no nothing. This is spirituality. This is a remnant of spirituality left in the country. We must understand that this over-exaggeration of our problems is costing a lot for this nation. I'll tell you an example. There is a family in Greece, I know them very well. They have done our programs and everything. The wife wants to come to the yoga center. She's all planned, booked her tickets, and suddenly one day she calls our office and she starts crying. She says she cannot come. Why? Her husband says, you cannot go. Then she's crying, wants to talk to me. I said, what happened? He said, no, if you go to India, you will get raped. I don't want to send you there. I'm saying we're creating such an image about the country. Yes, for every woman molested or raped, we have to do something about it within the country. But this over-hype of this, that the entire world thinks the whole of India is being raped, is a very wrong image for the nation. We must understand this, 50% of our people have still not eaten properly. They're not well nourished. We are the most malnourished country in the world right now. When this is the condition, instead of first looking at how to get this country out of that economic pit, we are taking on too many things, which are concerns of well-developed nations. We are trying to impose those standards on this country simply because most people are Western educated. They don't have a clue what is India. They've never traveled to villages in this country. They've never gone across and see what this nation is. They just Western educated and they have these ideas and they want to impose these ideas. They have no clue about the way this country runs, what makes this nation happen. For 1 billion people, our crime rate is still very low. I'm sure, see, every crime that happens, even if one man gets killed, one woman is violated, it is a crime, nation has to stand up. I agree with that 100%. But exaggerating it to a point where people outside the country think the entire country full of rapists and murderers is not going to help us to build the nation to make it better. Is the focus on making it better for everybody, or is the focus on just dirtying everybody? We need to handle this little more responsibly. Unfortunately, this sense of responsibility in what we say on the media, what we say in the channels, what we write, is unfortunately not there. One reason it is not there is, in this country, the judiciary system is so slow that… and for defamation and other things you can't go. In United States means in 3 months you can file a defamation case and get that guy into the prison if he says wrong things about you. In this country you can't do that, it'll take 10 years, so you better not go to the court. So there are many things that need to happen. Above all, our problem is this, that we are too many people and we are not able to provide services and protection and safety for men and women of this country. We need to look at that also. Since 1947, we've multiplied 4 times. From 33 crores, we have come to 120 crores. So how to provide for all these people? And still there are fertility clinics going on in the country. How to provide for all these people is something that we must think. When I produce a child, we must think, where is the space for this child? Where is the food going to come from? Where are the different resources going to come from? Is something that we have to look at. There are many issues, but raising this bogey of everything is going wrong in the country is not a good idea. Right now the world is looking towards India as the best investment destination, but our own people are trying to spoil that. No, one thing that needs to happen, whether the condition of the soldiers need to improve on the border, or women's safety and security needs to happen, or ecological concerns have to be taken care of. For everything, economic development needs to happen. If this doesn't happen, we will not take care of anything. We need to understand that. That should be the main focus of every Indian citizen, that India should progress economically, only then we can attend to all these things. Otherwise, we will not attend to it, we'll only talk about it.
If we are all love deep inside, then why do we have wars, Guruji?
I didn't say that. I didn't say we're all love deep inside.
No, but we are.
Then you must answer the question. What I see is, a human being is neither love nor hate. If you are feeling very pleasant right now, your experience of life is very pleasant, you will do pleasant things to people around you. If your experience of life is very bitter right now, knowingly or unknowingly, you will do bitter things around you. This is the fact of human existence. I don't want to make a statement, human beings are all deep love or hatred or anger or peace. They're not any of these things. This is the beauty of being human. You could choose to be any way you want right now. You can spend the rest of your life in hatred or in love. Both are possible. So, who helps an individual human being to make that choice? Who gives that individual human being the strength to make the choice which is good for me and everybody? So, love is a choice. It is not deep down there is love inside, there is no such thing. There is only blood inside. If you don't spill it, it's good. If you understand being pleasant within yourself is wonderful for you, you will become love and joy. If you don't understand, you will become anger and hatred. So, this is the beauty of being human, that nothing about you is fixed. You can be any way you want. This is the freedom that a human being has. But to exercise this choice needs a certain level of awareness. That awareness is missing. Right now we have other concerns. Now there is border. We don't want to give 1 inch to anybody, and they want to take 1 inch. So there is a fight. It's more complex than just love affair. It's the wars in the world are much more complex than love and friendship business.
The lady,
Who is
that
speaking?
she has been asking. Ma'am, in the center, please.
Guruji, I follow your interviews on YouTube and they are an immense source of guidance and strength. Guruji, my question to you today is, can we choose and change the course of our destiny, or are we captives in a pre-chartered path? If yes, how?
By that question, I'm sorry, but by that question you're insulting the forces. They are here to take the destiny of this nation where we want. They're not there to sit there and think fate will take us where it takes us. No, to take the course of this nation where we want. That is why the forces, that is why many other forces inside the country also, not just the security forces, various other forces of business and enterprise and everything is towards taking our destiny into our hands. When you do not take your destiny into your hands, you think it's your fate. Yes, it is. We must understand this. This is one culture. This is the one and only culture in the entire world which has taught you for a long time that your life is your karma. What this means is, your life is your making. But unfortunately, somebody turned such a dynamic way of living into a fatalistic existence, your karma from somewhere it's coming. No, no. Karma means action, your action. Karma means, when you say my life is my karma, it means I am the maker of my life. This is the only culture. I want you to understand this is a godless culture. Never in this culture have we told you there is one God sitting up there and managing everything for you. We always told you your life is your karma. We have 33 million gods and goddesses, but we know the technology of God making. For different aspects of life, to open different windows into existence, we created different deities. In every village, they created their own deity. You have heard, there are any number of examples, I am a living example, but unless it comes from the West, it is not true, Yeah, if not from United States, at least it must come half the way from Greenwich Mean Time, otherwise it cannot be true. You heard of Ramanujam for sure. So, in early 20th century, he simply poured out mathematics. Many dimensions of mathematics that he poured out, even today they're still analyzing. Some of them described the black holes in the space, in the galaxies. When he wrote these mathematical formulas, there was no concept of black hole in the scientific community. See, always there is a concept, then there is a theory, and then the mathematics. But when there was no concept, no theory, he made mathematics for the black holes. Even on his deathbed, he was sitting and pouring out mathematics. So they asked, where does this come from? He said, my Devi, the Devi that I worship, she bleeds mathematics. So these were deities which were created to open a certain window into the existence. And we created various kinds of deities. If you want protection, one kind, if you want love, another kind, if you want wealth, another kind. Like this, various deities we created to open up that dimension. It's just… see, if you do not know this, in South it is still… this terminology is still there. We call the deities still yantras. The word yantra literally means a machine. Today we have various kinds of machines. We have a microphone. Why? Only because we can speak, we came up with a microphone, isn't it so? If we had no speech, would we come up with a microphone? We came up with a bicycle. Why? Only because we are mobile, we can walk, we came up with a bicycle and every other automobile. Every machine that you have created is only an extension of your existing faculties. So similarly, we created subjective machines. So, for extending our faculties, to be able to do something that we ourselves could not do with our own limbs. See, you cannot travel at 100 kilometers per hour by yourself. Today you can sit in a car and go. You can go at 800 kilometers per hour on an airplane or more. So these are machines created by us, but they do things that we could not do ourselves. So similarly, we created subjective machines which we called as yantras or deities or murtis, which could do what we could not do. We have always… this is the only culture which has been conscious, God is our making. Everywhere else, this awareness has not been there, but unfortunately, we've gotten into this mode of fatalistic way of looking at our karma. Karma means the most dynamic way to exist, that is, my life is my making.
गुरुजी, शत प्रणाम। पोस्ट ट्रुथ एरा, क्या हम सत्य के समय से अलग जी रहे हैं? पोस्ट ट्रुथ एरा आजकल बड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग स्टेटमेंट चल रहा है कि क्या हम पोस्ट ट्रुथ एरा में जी रहे हैं? पोस्ट ट्रुथ एरा, पोस्ट ट्रुथ एरा। Are we living in post truth era?
Post truth.
Yes, it's a very new word. So it's a very confusing statement of some people. So I just wanted your
I don't know who
blessings
is
on this.
making those statements.
Because Shiva is truth and truth is Shiva. So how we can live in… is it true?
Shiva is truth and truth is Shiva. And how will you live in
No,
truth era?
let us understand this. I don't know who is coming up with these kind of things, but I don't wish to comment on that, but let us understand this. What truth means is, For a long time, our Upanishads have been saying, Satyameva Jayate. What this means is only truth works. Let me put it to you, because you're in post-truth era, you're from that era. Let me put it this way, whatever really works on all levels of life must be the truth, otherwise how will it work? For people from post-truth era, I'm saying, what truly works must be the truth, isn't it? What works on all levels of life must be the truth. So, it is just this much. What is a lie? If you take it out of your life, you don't have to invent truth, it will always be there. So everything that's not true, if you take it out of your life, truth is there. Don't go in search of truth, it's like going in search of freedom. You can't search for freedom, you can only break your bondages. Similarly, you can only take away the lies from your life. You don't really go in search of truth. You will spend a lifetime without finding anything.
It's an honor to be here. I love your stoles, the designer stoles.
You're missing the man.
We often talk about anger management, anger control, but if our soldiers don't show their anger, how are they going to fight wars at the border?
If they shoot in anger, they'll miss. They'll waste the cartridges. To shoot, you must be in a very even, balanced, equanimous mind, otherwise you cannot shoot. You don't have to be angry to shoot. If you're angry and shoot, you are not a soldier, you're a vandal. A soldier is standing up for a cause. He's not shooting because of his personal enmity with somebody. Yes, he's standing up for a nation. He's not standing up for his personal anger or enmity with somebody. So, if you want to shoot straight, you try and see. They can take you to the range today. You try and see. If you want to shoot, one thing that is necessary is you have to be balanced. Even if you have to… You know, even in a golf game it's called shooting, score. If you want to shoot straight, you got to be level-headed, otherwise you're not going to shoot straight. This is especially so with a bullet because of the velocity, and even the smallest variation, a micromillimeter variation will take it somewhere else. So, soldier need not be angry. That's why I told you, Krishna chose to give the Gita in the battlefield. He's talking about equanimity, not anger. Because if you want to win the war, you must be stable. Angry people will get killed.
Coming back to stoles, who designed stoles for you?
Guruji Pranam.
I love them. Especially the Shiva one.
Guruji Pranam. Guruji Pranam, I have a question.
We'll send one stole to you, Adi Yogi stole.
I'll be honored and
We will do
privileged.
that. We will do that for you. Yes, I know.
Guruji, how to unlearn? I mean, there are several reactions at our inner level which are required to be unlearned. Like when I go home from my office or from border, my family members comes to know that my day was bad or it was okay. I mean, there are at inner level how to unlearn reactions.
See, I think what I say may… Please don't react to what I say, but consider this. Armed forces, especially those who are in active service, who every day face situations which is life and death in some way. I know Indian Army is not so much so, but still it is there, but I've seen how the US Army trains. They are putting them into, like she said, if they're not angry, how can they do it? They're training them to, come on, we'll do this to them, all kinds of vulgar words, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. This is how we've been pepping up the armies. But I feel the elite forces everywhere in the world are not trained like that. They're trained to be very, very equanimous, to be focused, to be meditative, to not react, but to respond according to the situation. So this is a fundamental shift we have to do because this is a unique capability of a human being. Every other animal, his strength is his physical strength and his strength is in his instinctive reaction. But that is not the strength of a human being. A human being is nowhere as strong as most animals are. But we've still dominated this planet simply because we can respond, we don't have to react. This element should be brought into the forces in a big way at the fundamental basic training that you only respond, you don't react. This will make a world of difference in the way you operate. Whether it's with your family or with the business outside or with the actual job that you're doing, wherever it is. Your essential nature of the human being is this, which no other animal is capable of, is we don't have to instinctively react, we can respond consciously. This is where we can employ our intelligence. Otherwise, there is no room for intelligence. The only reason why we are dominating this world is because of our intelligence, not because of our physical strength. If we do not exercise what is strongest in us, then we're losing out big time. So, we must shift every human being, not just a soldier, every human being from a state of compulsive reaction to your conscious response. This is my fundamental goal with every human being. If only human beings were consciously responding, they would do the best, isn't it? To the best of their intelligence and capability.
Just one last question, please. Only one last.
You have been talking about I've been listening very carefully, I've been talking about developing an equanimous mind. That made me think about the daily life of a border person. A borderman lives under constant stress in the border. His life is constantly in danger, he's separated from his family, whether living conditions are harsh, even the weather is very unpredictable. So he has big lot of problems like this. There are a few instances of suicide also not only in the border security force, but in all security forces. The question is, how does one, under the influence of such forces, develop an equanimous mind, or in other words, can you give a couple of tips for the borderman how to overcome stress in their daily life? This is not to belittle the forces. I know the nature of their job and I'm hugely respectful to that. But what I want you to understand is, people in every level of job, from the lowest level of job to the highest, everybody is complaining about stress. What we need to understand is, stress is not in our jobs. Stress is not in our professions, stress is not in our family situations, stress is in the nature of our mind. You do not know how to handle your thought, your emotion, your chemistry and your energy, you're stressed. Stress means essentially it's a friction within yourself. The same situation will stress one person and another person will go through it effortlessly, isn't it? In the same situation. So obviously it's not the situation, it is you. If I'm asking you a very simple question, if you are capable of having the kind of thought and emotion that you want right now, would you choose to be stressful or blissful? No. What would be your choice? Stressful or blissful? Make a choice because I'll bless you right now. Huh? Certainly blissful. Not just you, every human being. If there is a choice between pleasantness and unpleasantness for themselves, they will choose pleasantness. What they want for their neighbor may be debatable, but what they want for themselves is very clear. But such a simple thing is not happening because, see, this human mechanism, do you agree with me? This is the most complex and sophisticated machine on the planet. Yes. I'm asking you, have you read the user's manual? No, just by accident. If you function by accident, everything will happen this way only. See, there are many people who deal with their life like this. To make all the major decisions in their life, they'll pull out a coin and flip it. Heads I go this way, tails I go this way. It works 50% of the time. Only thing is, if what you do works only 50% of the time, there are only two professions for you. You can either be a weatherman or an astrologer. Anywhere else you'll get fired. So equanimity is not… equanimity or lack of equanimity is not a question of what we are doing, it's about how we are. How much control do we have on our own thought process, our emotion, our chemistry, our energies? To what extent is this human mechanism in your hands? It's like this. See, let's say you don't know how to ride a bicycle. You just sat on a bicycle which was on a stand and you were just pedaling for fun, but it came off the stand and started going. Anxiety or no? It started going fast. Fear or no? Started going very fast. Terror or no? Yes. But if you know how to ride the bicycle, faster it goes, fun, isn't it? The same thing with this, if you learn how to handle this, a whole lot of people… Today adventure sport is a big thing. All my life I risk my life for nothing, not for the country, simply for the fun of it. Every day I risk my life for something, because otherwise I can't live without danger. This is my problem. I have to do something where I'm on the edge. So, a whole lot of people are doing adventure sports. Why? Because the more you take it to the edge, there is more fun in it. The question is, are you equanimous to enjoy it, or are you going to freak? So once you have taken up to a soldier's profession, I think we should equip them to have an equanimity where they don't suffer this on a daily basis. After all, they're human beings, there will be issues within them, but bringing equanimity to the minds of our soldiers and officers is very, very important. India being so steeped in this knowledge of how to maintain your interiority, if our soldiers don't get it, I am very pained. It's very, very important that our forces should know how to be meditative. I'm repeatedly going back to this. It is in the war field that the greatest teachings happened in this country because it was needed most there. But in this country, we are still doing the British march like this, doom, doom, doom. We have not brought Indianness to our forces. It's time we start doing this, if not entirely changing it overnight. We have to bring dimensions that we know best in this country. The whole world is turning towards India for inner well-being. The United Nations has declared International Yoga Day. Our Prime Minister is lying down on the street and doing yoga with common people. Never before such things have happened. But still our forces are denied this. No, we must bring it to the access of our forces that our soldiers and our officers must have the best capability to manage their mind and their interiority. This ability must be given to our forces for the job that they're doing, which is crucial for the making of this nation.
I think DG has a…
Just one question.
That's very good. If you did not hear him, he said, BSF has introduced yoga in the place of physical training. In fact, there are dimensions of yoga. People think yoga means… See, unfortunately, the yoga that you're looking at also is largely a rebound from the American coast. The yogic system has dimensions with which you can become super fit without restrictions of unnecessarily bulging muscles, okay? Above all, you should come and see, when your officers come, they will see, we have yoga and a combination of Kalari and yoga and Angamardana. It will make you not only fit, your endurance levels, your ability to go without food, water, sleep. See, for almost 25 years, I manage with just 2.5 to 3 hours of sleep. These days I'm getting a little lazy and sleeping 4 hours, 4.5 hours these days sometimes. Just getting lazy with old age. But if I want, I can easily go 2 nights, 3 nights without sleep. Just yesterday morning I've landed from United States after 5 weeks, so I should be jet-lagged, I must be this. You will not see anything like that with me. This is vital for the forces, because many nights they may not get to sleep or eat properly. If we don't eat, our activity won't stop. In these 35 years that I've been active in public life, not a single appointment or an engagement I have cancelled because I am ill or I am not well. Every day I have appointments, not a single day break. My schedules are 7 days, 365 days, but still I have not cancelled one event till now because I am not feeling well, because such a thing never happens. This doesn't mean I never had a flu or a temperature. Yes, I've had, but that doesn't stop me from doing anything, which is the nature of their job. It doesn't matter what's happening, what has to be done. So for them, equipping them, empowering them with an inner dimension is very, very vital. I'm glad that you have taken this up, sir. Thank you very much.